Good afternoon to all the participants of this webinar. My name is Cornelia Spiecher, and I am the Swiss national contact point for the program called Spreading Excellence and Widening Participation. This program is also referred to as the Widening Program, and I will use this wording during the webinar. From the list of registered participants, we can see that we have a very international audience today, which is great. Now, as Euresearch is an organization based in Switzerland, there will inevitably be some information which is specific for applicants from Switzerland. First, I would like to say a few words on the setup of the webinar. Just below the image of the speaker, you have a chat window. Please use the chat to ask all the questions you have throughout the webinar. My colleague Judith Spinden, who is with me today, she will be collecting the questions, and at the end of the webinar, I will be answering the questions within the remaining time. Should we not have enough time, you can still then send me the questions after the webinar. On the left hand, you have the big window, which shows the slides of the presentation. Please note that the slides will be sent to you in a follow-up email after the webinar. The content of this webinar today will be structured as follows. First, I will say a few words on the background of the widening program. Then I will mention the three main measures called teaming, ERA chair, and twinning. In a third part, I will zoom into the twinning call called Widespread 05. And at the end, I will provide you some useful information and links. And then we will have time for questions. Again, please note, these slides will be sent to you in a follow-up email, and these slides contain many hyperlinks which will redirect you to useful websites. So let's get started with some background information on the widening program. So why is there the widening program? It was during FP7 that many lesser active member states, mainly Eastern European countries, complained that there was insufficient return. There was disparities in research and innovation performance. It was then the Commission that analyzed the reasons for this and published a paper in 2011 highlighting explanations. Four of the main findings were that there was insufficient national research and development investments in those countries, that there was a lack of synergies between national and European research and development systems, and that these countries had reduced access to these international networks. They perceived it as kind of a closed club. And last but not least, there were problems with information, communication, and training. Based on these findings, the Commission then introduced with Horizon 2020 a new program called Spreading Excellence and Widening Participation. So widening is fairly new, and it is not allocated in one of the three pillars, so it is not in pillar 1, 2, or 3. It is considered a horizontal program as shown in this graph in orange. The budget for widening is approximately 1% of the Horizon 2020 budget, so 0.8 billion euros. Now, what is this widening program about? The widening program has a very targeted approach, namely it targets countries with low performance in research and innovation. And these countries are called the widening countries. This term is specific for the widening program. And if I will refer to the widening country, it's based on the following definition. A widening country is a country whose composite indicator of research and excellence is below 70% of the European average. The graph on the right exemplifies this. On the y-axis, you see the compound indicator used to evaluate this for every country. On the x-axis, you see the different countries and the level of their indicator. The red horizontal line marks the 70% of the European average, and all countries which are below this threshold are considered widening countries. Currently, 27 countries are considered widening countries within the widening program. They are listed here. To complement the terminology, all the other countries are considered the advanced partners. So all other member states or associated countries are considered advanced partners, and Switzerland, for example, is an associated country and is an advanced partner. Now, to give you a bit more details on the composite indicator used for the definition of a widening country, this is a fairly complex indicator and many different aspects are considered when calculating this indicator. On this slide, you see a screenshot with a few of those aspects. For example, underlined in green, the publications per 1,000 researchers in public research, or further down, the amount of collaborations with emerging countries. This list is much, much longer, and if you want to have a look and get some supporting explanation and literature, I have provided you 2 links. One is on supporting literature, and the second one indicates you the detailed scores of the countries. Now, the 3 measures within the widening country, within the widening program are called teaming, ERA chair, and twinning. They are all so-called coordination and support actions, and I have generated a small icon for each of the measures, so it is easier to remember which one is which. So the first one is the teaming. There it is about institutional building, and I have chosen an enlarging circle to underline this. The second one is the ERA chair. It is about bringing excellence to an institution. And the third one is about institutional networking between widening countries and other countries. That is the twinning. I will start, in the widening program, there are 3 additional measures which are not in the scope of this presentation. It is a policy support facility, which gives expert advice to public authorities in widening countries. It is the JPI Urban Europe, and that is as information for applicants from Switzerland. It is the State Secretariat of Education, Research and Innovation that is responsible for providing information on this program. And third, it is COST, Cooperation in Science and Technology. And for applicants in Switzerland, it is the Swiss National Science Foundation that is responsible for scientific, financial and administrative support. So now I would like to start with the first of the 3 main measures, the teaming, institutional building. The objective of teaming is to support the creation of a new center of excellence or upgrading an existing one in a widening country. It builds on partnerships between leading scientific institutions and partner institutions in widening countries. The Center of Excellence must be able to develop new or connect effectively with regional clusters and provide an innovation-friendly environment. What are the requirements for teaming? The partnership requires at least 2 parties, namely the coordinator, which has to be from a widening country, and a university or research organization with international reputation in research and innovation excellence from a member state or associated country other than the country of the coordinator. The teaming is implemented in 2 phases, and I'd like to highlight that these 2 phases are actually 2 separate calls with 2 separate deadlines, one after the other. In the phase 1, it is about making a business plan, and 400,000 euros are given for this task. In the phase 2, only successful applicants for phase 1 can apply, and it is about the implementation of the Center of Excellence. And now a bit more detailed information. So in phase 1, partners have to explain their vision for how they're going to establish a new Center of Excellence. They have to provide details on the strategy of the future Center of Excellence, and they have to outline how the strategy fits with the smart specialization strategy of the widening country. They have to provide information on the profile of the organization, the activities, and the strategies of the Center of Excellence. And last but not least, they have to outline a 12-month action aimed at producing a business plan for setting up the Center of Excellence. It is then this business plan that is a deliverable for applicants of phase 2. For phase 1, you can ask for 400,000 euros, and the duration is 12 months. A few words on phase 2. The business plan should illustrate the scientific and innovation potential of the future Center of Excellence. It should demonstrate the growth potential, and it should elaborate on the structure of the partnership and on the engagement of the partners. It should demonstrate how the newly established or upgraded center will have full autonomy in decision making, and it should elaborate the steps that will take it towards a long-term self-sustainability. The teaming phase 2, the budget is much larger. It's about 15 million euros coming from the Commission, and its duration is 5 to 7 years. And there are eligible costs, but also ineligible costs. Eligible costs are salaries for operational and administrative costs, staff exchange, training, and dissemination. There is no funding for research as such, including research salaries. Infrastructure costs, such costs are expected to be supported by other types of funding, including where relevant by European structural and investment funds or other. Teaming, so what is at stake? So far there is one round of phase 1 and phase 2 completed. As you can see in the graph, we are now actually in the second round. The teaming phase 1 deadline was last November, and the evaluation has been completed and successful proposals have been informed. And these successful proposals that now will have 12 months to elaborate a business plan. This will then be submittable to teaming phase 2. The deadline will be published in the next work program 2018 to 2020. This slide shows the first evaluation results of the first round of teaming. Overall, 10 projects in 9 countries were funded. On the right side, you can see the involved successful advanced partner. It's a total of 16 partners involved in advanced partners involved in teaming projects. With this, I change to the second measure. It is the ERA chair. The objective of the ERA chair is to bring high-quality researchers and managers, these are called the ERA chair holder and his or her team, to universities and other research organizations in a widening country. As shown in the graph image below, it is the widening country that applies for an ERA chair. If that widening country is successfully evaluated, it is an open recruitment process to which any EU or non-EU nationals can apply. These are then called the ERA chair holders. The ERA chair is about creating the appropriate conditions and opportunities for high-quality researchers and research managers to move and engage with institutions and to improve the excellence of their research and thereby modify their research and innovation landscape. The scientific field can be of any domain of research and innovation. However, it needs to be closely connected with the activities of the ERA chair holder and actually fully capitalize on his or her presence and expertise in the widening country. The ERA chair holder will commit herself or himself for the full duration of the grant, and it is a full-time position, either permanent or non-permanent. The budget of the ERA chair is a maximum of 2.5 million euros, and the duration is 5 years. The eligible costs will cover the appointment of the ERA chairholder and a number of team members, example, their salaries, recruitment costs, administrative costs, travel and subsistence costs. And the grant will also provide a contribution towards measures aiming at facilitating structural changes in the institution in the widening countries. These are, for example, costs for trainings, meetings, publications, and managing IPR. Please be aware that the grant is not a measure to fund research per se. And for grants awarded under this topic, the following cost categories will be ineligible. It is the costs for infrastructure and research costs, including consumables. This is a graph showing the first results of the ERA chairs topics in 2014. Overall, 14 projects were funded, and they are listed on the x-axis. Currently, there is an ERA chair call open. It is called Widespread 03-2017, and the deadline is on the 15th of November 2017. For applicants of Switzerland, please note, Switzerland is not a widening country, therefore Switzerland cannot apply for an ERA chair. With this, I come to the third measure, which is the twinning measure. The objective of twinning is to strengthen a defined field of research in a university or research organization from a widening country by linking it with at least 2 international leading research institutions in a member state or associated country. It is about enhancing the science and technology capacity and about raising the research profile of the institution and its staff. The partnership requirements are as following. It requires at least 3 partners, namely the coordinator from a widening country and 2 or more international leading research intensive counterparts that must be coming from a member state or associated country other than that of the coordinator. The twinning proposal should outline the scientific strategy for excellence and innovation in a defined area of research. It should also outline the scientific quality and the excellency of the partners. The strategy should include a set of measures which will support the implementation. These should include at least some of the following: short-term staff exchange, expert visits, summer schools, virtual trainings, conference attendances, organization of joint summer school activities, dissemination and outreach activities. The expected impact is supposed to be raised on 3 levels, namely the excellency, the competitiveness, and the reputation. The twinning budget is a maximum of 1 million over 3 years. In general, costs related to administration, networking, training, coordination, or management, travel costs are all acceptable under the twinning project. Be aware that there are also ineligible costs. These are costs for infrastructure, equipment, and research costs, including consumables, are not considered eligible costs. This is the analysis of the first twinning call in 2015. Overall, 66 projects of the listed countries were funded. This is the corresponding advanced partners involved in the twinning projects, and there are overall 184 advanced partners. So that means that a teaming in average has almost 4 partners, so slightly above the minimum requirements. The red arrow indicates the successful participation of 6 Swiss partners in twinnings. So twinning, what is at stake? The next twinning call was actually opened last Thursday. The call is called Widespread 05-2017, and the deadline is on the 15th of November 2017 at 5 p.m. Brussels time. I would like to now zoom into that specific topic in more detail to hopefully give you to hopefully provide useful information to all those listeners considering of applying. So maybe first question that you might ask, why should a Swiss partner engage in the upcoming twinning call? Now, there are several good reasons to participate in this call. It is about increasing the competitiveness of whole of Europe. It is about increasing the profile of your research organization to a more intensive research and innovation performer. And it is an excellent opportunity to get access to new research avenues, creativity, and the development of new approaches. Last but not least, it is a very useful source for increased mobility of qualified scientists. And it will help you consolidate and strengthen your existing network. As mentioned before, currently there are 6 twinning projects ongoing which have participation from Switzerland. I have retrieved this data from the Cordis database, which is an open access database. And these 6 projects actually are in very different fields of research. For example, it is in the IT area, or in agronomy and economics, or personalized medicine, just to mention a few. I have added the website of each of the projects, so if you're interested in knowing more, you can have a closer look at these 6 projects. Now, I have visited some of these projects, and I have collected the incentives of Swiss partners to participate in twinning projects. And one of the most mentioned incentives was that it was about raising the quality of research in the widening country and actually raising the quality of research of their cooperation partners. It was mentioned that a running project is actually a very good platform to foster next joint project opportunities. It is about tightening the collaboration between partners and enlarging the network beyond. And there is a huge gain of people moving, of lab visits, and of staff exchange. Participants also appreciate the fact that they get money, even though it is not for research per se or for lab consumables, but it is still very useful money for networking per se. Also, such a project is a very good opportunity to organize a good scientific meeting, which is also in the scope of the project. Now, saying a few more words on Widespread 05. This is a screenshot of the topic page. I'm aware that it is not fully readable. I would just like to indicate what useful information you can get if you click on the hyperlink Widespread 05-2017, which is provided to you with the presentation. If you open the topic website, you can see the topic text. Just below, you can find the funding rules and the eligibility, and at the very bottom, you can actually download the template which you are supposed to use when you want to submit your proposal. Now, I will zoom into the topic text. If you click on topic text, it's a typical topic window appears. It comes in 3 sections as for every Horizon 2020 topic. It is first the specific challenge, followed by the scope of the topic, and the last section lists the expected impact. If you're considering applying to this twinning topic, please have a close look at the expected impact and align it with your project idea. And please ensure that you fulfill every single one of the bullet points mentioned, because if your project idea does not fit the expectations of the Commission, your proposal will not be evaluated positively. As I mentioned before, under the topic text, you find indications on funding rules and eligibility. I think the most important ones, I have mentioned them today, but please have a close look at that section too. At the very bottom is the place where you can download the template. If you do that, please be aware on the following things with regards to the template. There is a page limit. This means that the cover page, together with section 1, 2, and 3, should not exceed 50 pages. The twinning call is a single-stage application, so you submit a full proposal from the beginning. After the deadline, any excess pages will be overprinted with a watermark, and they will not be considered by the evaluator. They will be disregarded. Also, please be aware that formatting conditions apply and just follow the instructions in the template. Also, be aware that sections 1, 2, and 3 in the template actually correspond to the evaluation criterion used by the experts. I will say a few more words on the evaluation criteria in later slides. The proposal template comes in 3 sections, as mentioned before. It is excellency, impact, and implementation. In the excellence section, you have to list your objectives and you have to relate them to the work program. Further, you have to provide your concept and methodology, the quality of the coordination, and support measures. In the second section, you have to address the expected impacts, and you have to show how the measures which you will use to maximize the impact. In the third section, you have to outline the implementation. You have to give information on the work plan, work packages, deliverables, milestones, etc. Everything you have to provide in the proposal is listed. Just follow the proposal outline. In the proposal, there are 2 additional sections. It is information on the members of the consortium and ethics and security. When writing a twinning proposal, I encourage you to keep the following points in mind. The first one is it's all about the abstract. It's the first thing the evaluator will read, and it will either encourage him to continue reading or not. So make sure you have a very clear abstract because it's the first thing the evaluator will see. The quality and the credibility of your cooperation is essential and will be evaluated. Also, ensure that the credibility of the operational capacity is clear because it's crucial. At the fourth point, I'd like to mention that the incentive for the advanced partner to participate needs to be convincing and clear, and the allocation of tasks and resources need to be appropriate. Complementarity in the consortium is well seen, and in the sense that actually a real exchange can happen. I advise you to make sure that the proposal is written in good English and ensure that all the partners have been involved in the whole process of proposal drafting and writing. Last but not least, align the proposals with the officially available evaluation criteria. It makes it easier then for the evaluator to find them in the proposal. For this, I have added the next slide. It is actually the official evaluation criteria for a coordination and support action as twinning is one. On the bottom right-hand corner, I provide you the link to this self-evaluation form. I encourage you to have this evaluation form next to you when you're writing the proposal so that you address all the evaluation criteria the way that the evaluator will actually do it when he or she reads your proposal. With this, I come to the last section of this webinar. It is about providing you some useful information and links. First of all, I'd like to draw your attention on the Widening Info Day, which will be held in Brussels on the 15th of June. There is no official website yet. It's just a save the date. As soon as that website is made public, I will disseminate it to you. The second information is the link to the work program 2016-17, please be aware that a new version has been published on the 24th of April 2017. So if you have a work program in hand, make sure you have the latest version. The third bullet point is a link to a very useful FAQ, which is available online. Now, I would like to say a few words on Euresearch. Euresearch is the Swiss organization that informs and advises on Horizon 2020. And Euresearch offers a huge range of services, which range from providing very basic information up to eligibility check, consortium advice, and even up to reviewing your proposal and providing you strategic advice. All our services are free of charge. Euresearch network consists of a head office where all the national contact points, so all the thematic responsibles for the different programs, are under one roof. Further, the Euresearch network consists of 10 regional offices in all the regions of Switzerland, and in addition, we have a partner liaison office in Brussels called Swisscore. If you want to be up to date with all matters with regards to widening, you should definitely subscribe to the Euresearch e-alerts. They will give you precise information on calls opening and deadlines, on new versions of work programs, on call statistic, topics updates, and on important information with regards to info events, webinars, and applicants trainings. If you have not yet registered to the Euresearch website, the next slide indicates you how to do it. If you register and you want to receive information specific for the widening program, make sure that you click the program under European programs. With this, I come to my last slide. On this last slide, you have my email address and my phone number, and you can always send me your questions after the webinar.